Is there any more information you can give on why he needed the root canal? Like, is he not good at brushing his teeth, or does he need to floss better, or anything else?
Wow, are you talking to the millions of Americans across the country? You're going to ask them that question too?
I did a little research this morning.
I mean, look, I am certainly not a dentist by any means, so I cannot speak to what leads to a root canal. He was not put under general anesthesia. The 25th Amendment certainly was not invoked.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So local anesthesia.
Goodness, quick follow-up?
Tooth follow-up.
Oh, tooth follow-up. Cute.
So the local anesthesia.
Everybody's a little giddy today.
I know.
What is happening?
It's like Friday vibes.
I know, not Monday afternoon vibes.
But on the tooth, can you describe sort of the local anesthesia? What exactly does that mean? What was the president's demeanor, his ability to govern as he was getting this root canal that made you decide not to invoke the 25th Amendment?
So, gosh, I hope you guys. I should never get a root canal here, because then I could see the judgment that coming my way. Look, all I can say. Thank you, Mr. Too-Wit. Okay.
On the trunk docs, this is not a nice little segue.
Okay.
But,
different segue here.
Given the severity of a former president was charged and the sensitivity of the documents, are you concerned that the intelligence review has not been wrapped up yet? I mean, shouldn't it be expedited? And what can you share with the American public about, whether national security was threatened or not?
You've heard us say this over and over again. This is a president that respects the rule of law. This is the president that wants to make sure and has proven that to be in his actions, to make sure that the Department of Justice is truly independent. And, and he said that during the campaign. He's restoring certainly the integrity of the Department of Justice, and that is something that's important to this president. And I'm going to just leave it there. I'm just not going to speak to the case.
I understand that you're not going to address the indictment of the former president directly, but I wanted to ask you about some of the rhetoric that has emanated around it. And in particular, several Republican lawmakers and presidential candidates have talked about this idea that the federal government, in this case the Justice Department, is being weaponized against the president's political opponents. And so I wonder what you can say to Americans whose faith in the Department of Justice, in its independence, in its nonpartisan nature, may be shaken.
The president respects the Department of Justice. He respects the rule of law. He particularly wants to make sure that we restore the integrity of the Department of Justice, that we do not politicize the Department of Justice.
In addition, though, to attacking the integrity of the Justice Department, some of the former President Trump's allies have also talked in pretty bellicose terms about what's happening. Congressman Andy Biggs said we've now reached the war phase, saying an eye for an eye. Steve Bannon said we're at war. Carrie Lake suggested that President Biden, the Attorney General Garland, and the special counsel would have to go through millions of gun-owning Americans to get to the former president. Do you have any response to that kind of rhetoric, and what danger do you think it presents in our country?
So look, as it relates to any kind of protest, we have said this before, we have said this in other iterations of this, is that we are always prepared and don't want to speculate from here. And I think the Admiral kind of stated this as well, as how we just function on a day-to-day basis. And we're just going to stay prepared.